Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Expansion Project. I am your host, Fat Tony. In this show, I have casual yet deep conversations with professional athletes, entrepreneurs, coaches, investors, and other successful people in hopes of expanding my mind and yours while motivating and inspiring people along the way. This week, I jumped on Skype with Daniel Dhers. If you follow BMX at all, you know who Daniel is, and if you don't, let me fill you in a little. Daniel moved to the U.S. from Venezuela in 2006 to be a full-time professional bike rider and has gone on to win 5 gold medals at X Games, 11 stops of the Dew Tour, 4 Dew Tour year-end titles, and a long laundry list of other competitions along the way. In addition to having an incredible BMX career, Daniel has a really good head on his shoulders when it comes to business, so we talked about that a lot, and his newest venture, the Daniel Dhers Action Sports Complex. This complex is a giant skate park in Holley Springs, North Carolina, that serves as an investment for Daniel and his personal training facility. Daniel really opened up and is allowing the world to see a side of him that we rarely get to see from a professional BMX rider. I got a ton out of this conversation, and I think you will too. So without rambling on too much longer, let's jump right into it and get inside the mind of a world-class athlete and a professional shit talker. Daniel, thanks so much for taking the time to sit down with me today. I know you just got back from Netherlands, I believe. Tell me about that.
Yes, man. I just Wedemeyer, my friend Wedemeyer, he was doing an event in Eindhoven in Holland. And he did it last year, and they have a really good park over there. It's called 040. So, he was doing it again this year, and I was like, that's the perfect excuse to go visit. So I talked to him and talked to Red Bull, and then we made it happen. And, super cool. Just the park is massive. I'm like, I feel like with so much traveling and riding and doing so much different stuff, anytime I get to go to a really good park, I'm psyched, man. So it was a good trip overall, but I can feel I'm getting worn down this year, man. It's crazy. All the traveling has been a lot.
Yeah, I bet, man. Do you know how many days out of the year you travel? Do you keep track of that kind of stuff?
I keep track of the miles. And this year I already flown, I think 48,000 miles. And
just in 2015? We're only 3 months in?
Just 3 months in. I'm going to Taiwan, Hong Kong, Amsterdam and France next week.
Oh, and all in the same week?
Yes. So that's another 20,000 miles, I'm sure.
Jeez.
So
yeah,
you
man. Have pretty good status on United Airlines then, right?
Yeah, United Airlines all the way. So I'm just looking at the mile statement actually right now, see if they're not missing anything.
Dude, I'm so bummed. This is the first year in about, 7 years or so that I don't have elite status at all. I've been having gold status for about 6 years.
And you didn't fly at all last year?
I guess not, man. I think I just tried to slow it down a little bit last year. It bit me in the ass because now I'm going to have to check in with all the normal people and wait in lines. And, dude,
Yeah.
you know how when you get that good service, you can't go back.
No, for sure. And the thing is, I feel like if you don't travel a lot, it's you'll deal with it. But if you're traveling a lot, yeah, you want that extra service for sure. Dude, I feel like I got so used to the airports, I fly through them now so quick. It doesn't bother me as much anymore. Now they have the TSA pre-check and the global entry and United, the gold status and this and that. It definitely has made a change, man. If I lose any of these ones, I was gonna be really bummed.
Yeah. Are you on the pre-check list for the TSA pre-check?
Yeah, TSA pre-check, which it makes it easy. You don't take your shoes, your jackets, your belt, nothing.
Yeah.
The global entry, you don't have to do the immigration line anytime you land in Chicago or Washington or Newark. Sometimes you have a 2-3 hour line just of people coming from all these flights. And global entry, you walk into the machine. You put your fingers in, takes a picture, and it prints a paper, and that's it. You're done.
Damn, that's sick, man. Yeah, that definitely makes it easier for you. Hey, going back to Netherlands real quick. So you just got back from Netherlands. Do you remember I was pedaling bikes with Jeremy Pavia around the streets of Netherlands, the streets of Amsterdam, and all of a sudden we see you roll up in a car, and it's like you were there for something completely different. And we're just like, what the hell, Daniel? Is that you? What are you doing here? Do you remember this?
Yeah, dude. I was we were talking about that. Now I was in Amsterdam only for one day on this trip, or a few hours actually. And I was telling Senat and Daniel the same. I was like, dude, I was driving through Amsterdam randomly, and Pavia and Fat Tony, they just randomly are riding bikes. Like, hey, what's up, guys? And I think you guys were going to Rebel Jam, maybe
Yeah, I think it was right after Rebel Jam, actually.
something like that. I know I
Yeah,
missed it. I was coming on a different trip, and I didn't do that contest, but we were there all at the same time,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
all.
Yeah, we met up for dinner and stuff. That was awesome, man. Freaking traveling and BMX, how things bring people together. It's fucking cool, man.
Well, yesterday on my way back, I saw Tony Hawk in the lounge. We
Really?
were in the United Lounge, and I'm just sitting there, and he just walks in. He's like, "Yo, what's up, Tony?" He's like, "Yo, what up, D?" And he's like, super random to see people, riders and skaters in airports and places.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what's cooler about that, the fact that you randomly saw him or the fact that he actually knew who you were.
Well, we a long time ago we did. I was nominated for the Laureus Award
Hmm.
in like 2008, and I remember he was there. So we talked quite a bit, and we never shared like, oh shit, we're best friends. But
Right, right.
I think at the beginning he might have been like, I know this guy, but I'm not sure.
Uh-huh.
And later on, it's like, yeah, man, I went to Argentina the other day, and he was sick, and this and that. So I was like, okay, he does know.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So catching up more, did you just tell me you moved houses again?
Yeah, man, I'm on my third house this year, or well, in these last 4 years.
So the last time I was in your area, I guess, let's see. Well, I went to Greenville last year, and then no, not last year. The year before, I went to Greenville, stayed with you in Greenville, and then you got the complex near Raleigh, and you moved out there. And so I didn't go to your new house, I don't believe. So you have a different new house from that, or have you gone through two houses by then?
Yeah, I did. Well, what happened was when I started the complex. Well, it's almost a year now that we opened, another year of planning. So about 2 years ago, when I was moving here, I moved in December 2013,
Okay.
and it was gonna be 5 people living in the house. So I got a 5-bedroom house. And through the time, a couple of the guys, one of the guys never showed up. The other guy, he was here for a couple months and decided to move in with his girlfriend. And then, everybody kind of started doing their own thing.
Hmm.
I guess at the beginning, no one really knew what was going to happen.
Right, right.
And, so by the end of last year, I was just looking at expenses and this and that. And I was like, dude, at one point, I probably had like 12, 13 people visiting my house at one point.
Hmm.
I was like, I'm a hotel. This is not a house anymore. This is a hotel for everyone to come.
Yeah.
So as much as I like people visiting me, it's like, I did not sleep in my own house by myself in the whole time I was there.
Wow.
So I decided to look into a smaller house, and what I did was like I got a 3-bedroom house, and I'm renting the 5-bedroom house. So that way, I can make a little money off that, and keep the property. But I can also live a little, scale down and not have all the crazy things I was having in the other house.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. So we're going to get into some of that in a little bit. So I'm glad you brought up kind of the rental property. But I got one more question for you to catch up on. Dude, you got to tell me about the new car.
Well, last year I had an Audi A7, and last year I think it was July. Yeah, it had to be around July. I was like, well, if I'm gonna buy a car, like if I'm gonna change my car, I better do it now before all the new models come in. So the car that I have now doesn't lose as much, or I don't lose as much money on the car. Cars are just a horrible investment,
Yeah.
man. So the less money you lose is the better.
Okay.
And I looked at another Audi S7. I liked it, but I was like, dude, I feel like it's the same car, just a bigger engine.
Mhm.
I look at an S8. I was like, this thing is just too expensive, and it's too like, I don't know, maybe for like an older gentleman.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of let it go. I was like, well, something will come up in the future. And then I was talking to my partner one day about what I wanted to do, and he's like, why don't you get a Maserati? The dealership's right in front of my house. And we were working at the complex, like, yeah, that sounds great. I mean, should we go now? Yeah, let's go. So we went, we dropped everything, went there to see the car. I drove it, and dude, I was never really into like fast cars or anything. I never really cared. I always liked the technology inside the car more than anything. But dude, once I felt this thing roaring and had gas, everything, I was like, okay, let's talk about acquiring this car now.
Yeah. Nice.
So,
And you're happy with that purchase?
Yeah, I'm super happy, man. It's crazy because like for the first month, anytime I had to travel, I will be thinking like, man, what's my car doing? You know, as if it was your kid.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't know. I need to go back. I need to go drive my car. I was freaking out, man.
That's so awesome. So for anybody listening that doesn't know, Daniel got what year is it?
It's a 2014 Maserati Ghibli.
Maserati Ghibli, is that how you say it?
Yeah, that's the model.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful car. Awesome blue color. Well, I'll post a photo of it up on the website if anybody hasn't seen it, or you can go check out his Instagram. Cool. So we're caught up a little bit. We're going to get into some business stuff soon. But first, I want to do a segment we call Chime In, and this is where I ask a question on Instagram, and then I'll read off what people said about it. So our question for this week is, what keeps you lying awake at night? And of course, Danny, you can be thinking about that while I'm reading off these other answers, and feel free to banter with me back and forth as I read them off. At Jake Anthony 07 said food. I can relate to that one for sure. At Crystal Arietta says nothing. I pretty much fall asleep as soon as my head hits the pillow. That is freaking awesome. I'm actually a pretty good sleeper too. I use earplugs every night, just little foam earplugs, and a sleeping mask. How are you with sleep, Danny? Do you hit the pillow and go right to sleep, or do you stay up?
It depends, man. Sometimes there's just so much going on. I keep thinking of what's next or what I need to do, but I feel like I try to get everything I can done during the day, and I try to just let my mind relax at night. I watch a TV show to like stop thinking of everything, and yeah, for the most part, I get to go sleep, man.
Yeah. I actually, I'm really big on writing lists, so if I feel like I have a lot on my mind that I might be thinking about, I'll just like write it down on like a to-do list for the next morning, and that way I feel like, okay, it's on the paper, I can get it out of my mind, and then when I wake up, I can go back to the paper, and then it'll get back in my mind, and I can start checking things off the list, you know?
Yeah, something I do like to do is have like a plan for next day. Just like you, it's like I'm able to go sleep, but I wake up motivated.
Yeah, totally.
You know, that way you can get. I hate it when you wake up and you're sore from a workout or your mind is exhausted, and then your whole day just lags. You know.
So moving along, we've got at Folk says, wondering how people can call themselves quote unquote animal friends and then eat meat. At Donnie OG says the open workouts. So yeah, anybody doing the CrossFit Open like myself. I was actually lying, not awake. As I was falling asleep last night, I was thinking about the open workout that I'm going to do tonight. Just kind of going through to my head. At Peyton Rogers 624 says how I can be better the next day. Pretty noble response. Maybe a more honest response comes from Fran1218. She says Netflix. I can see that one. Actually, that's the reason why I don't keep my phone or my TV or my computer or anything in my bedroom. I've actually gotten to the habit of I put my charger for my phone on my dresser now. That way, my dresser's across the room. I put my phone down, turn it on Do Not Disturb mode, and get in my bed. So, you know, I'm not tempted to look at my phone while I'm trying to go to sleep or anything. Because, dude, I used to seriously, I would lay in bed for no lie at least 20 minutes every night, just scrolling through Instagram, hitting refresh on Facebook. It's like, dude, I could have been asleep 20 minutes ago. Like, what the hell am I doing? I have no reason to be fiddling with my phone right now. We got Jay Sassine, a friend out in Havasu, Arizona. She says, what I can do to help my community to be a better place and how many Yorkies I can get my hands on. This is funny because she actually was a big supporter in getting the big skate park built in Lake Havasu. So that's pretty awesome. And then she has a couple Yorkies, and we always comment back and forth about our dog. At Vicky Lee Dick says, money worries, which maybe after you listen to this podcast, maybe you'll get a little information and inspiration from Daniel, and you won't have to worry about money so much anymore. That's part of the idea behind here. At Nick the Sixth says, 2 bent rims, overdue bills, and dumbass roommates. At Todd_BMX, thinking about flowing through some sweet trails. That is actually Justin Spreet's dad. He's an older dude out here in Southern California that just kills it on a bike still. So shout out to Todd for being an awesome dad and sick rider. Let's see. _don't_sweat_the_technique_. That is way too many underscores in a username. My truck and my woman. Definitely sounds like he's from the South. And at Momo Doe, that is my stepsister out in Singapore. All the things I need to do in the morning. Hey, Morgan, write a list out. It helps. Daniel and I both sign off on that one. And then our last one for Chime In is Dapper_physique. probably the pre-workout I took too late, and I'm still hearing colors and seeing sounds. So thank you guys for chiming in. Daniel, do you have anything else to add to what keeps you lying awake at night?
No, man, I started putting my phone in do not disturb, so there's not much coming up anymore.
Do you still look at your phone in the bed?
Yeah, as soon as I lay in bed, I look at it for a second, but it's I think it's good and bad. I get messages from, friends in Europe and friends in Asia and all around, so, like, the phone just rings all the time, and sometimes it's something very important, sometimes it's just, hey, how's it going, so I look at my phone and I see all the messages and I don't respond to anything until I know I have time to sit down and respond to everyone and be able to actually, if someone responds back at the same time, I'm able to actually give them an answer. But if not, man, it got out of control. So to all my friends, sorry if I reply right away. I will reply, but it might take a minute.
Yeah. What do you do in the morning? Do you, since your phone's by the bed, do you like wake up and look at the phone in the bed before you get up?
Yeah, I wake up, I open the phone, see all the emails or whatever is happening, especially if I'm in Europe or Asia, I get whatever's happening here, 6 hours delay or 12-hour delay. So I open up, I see what's going on, any email, anything that I have to get on right away just in case. I look at the text messages that I got, that I had to respond for the night before or something. And then I start my day. I try not to dwell too much on watching, looking at Instagram and Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah.
Because seriously, it's like a vortex, man. You start scrolling through, and when you notice, you spend 40 minutes just looking at your phone.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I actually, so the morning was another reason I started putting my phone on the dresser, because I would notice same thing in the morning. Like, I would wake up and I'd be laying in bed for 10, 15, 20 minutes before I even got up, and it's like, dude, I just wasted so much time. So because the phone was on the dresser, like
for 30 minutes before.
Yeah. So I can. So I bought an alarm that's different from my phone, and I have that on the dresser now when I need the alarm. So now I don't look at my phone until I've taken the dog out and let him use the bathroom, fed him, and then in the morning I'll take a shit, and that's when I'll look at my phone, get caught up on the emails and everything. Which sometimes, depending on how many emails or depending on how popping off Instagram is, maybe the shit will take longer than normal. But that's how I run the day, and I think that really helps me, like, just stay productive and stay off my phone during those key times when I should be focusing on sleep or thinking about getting out of bed and stuff,
Yeah. No, I feel you, man.
All right, so moving along to the business section of this conversation. So you're someone that I deem very successful. You had an incredible riding career. You're in the middle still of an incredible riding career, BMX-wise, but it seems like you really just have the business end of things down too. I've seen and heard stories of a lot of guys that become pro riders. They make a lot of money through contests or sponsors or whatever, and then they blow it and they have to go back to regular jobs, or they're struggling or whatever. And you don't seem to be that way. And although your career is not over yet, it seems like you're doing a lot of things to set yourself up so that you don't hit that situation when you're finished riding. So how do you feel like you got to be kind of savvy with business or with money management or any of those kind of things? And I'll say that, and maybe this is a long intro to the question, but if I remember correctly, your dad owns a company of some sort. So I'm wondering if a lot of that kind of knowledge and that mindset that you have about business and stuff comes from your father.
Yeah, I think it does come from my dad. He owns a bowling business that has he finally got it open around the time that I maybe a couple of years into my riding. He was more like, he got into this business, and he started with just one bowling alley, and he grew that into 4, and then he expanded. He started in Argentina, then Brazil, then he just kept growing, and now he's in Hong Kong, Japan. He's traveling, and
so his business is just opening bowling alleys. Is that right?
Yeah, he used to construct them a long time ago, and then he got into actually managing the bowling alleys.
Okay.
So, I somewhat saw, when I was maybe when I was 13, 15, I saw how, management was done and how certain things in business is done, but I did not really care or wanted to do it. I just wanted to ride my bike. Mm-hmm. So, moving forward now, 16, 17 years later that I've been riding and everything, the day came that I was like, well, I know I don't want to compete forever. And I think that's what got me into thinking, well, I do need to start something. I need to do something with my money. And I think at that time I had the Greenville house. I was like, well, this is cool. This is paid off. But, this is, if all the money stops tomorrow, what am I going to do, So that's when I started looking into doing something. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to move out of Greenville. And then when I was looking into coming here, or I was either coming to Raleigh or going to Florida, I decided to come here. When I was looking into moving, I had to build a place for me to keep riding. So that's when it kind of all started hitting me, like, well, if I'm gonna build something from scratch, I might as well build something that everyone can ride, and make a business out of it. I don't know if be a millionaire out of it, but it's. I think your life you gotta have a pie chart, and some income comes from maybe stocks and funds and whatever, and then another part of the pie is in, a business or something. Another part of the pie could be real estate, and you can have as many things as you can in this pie, and I think having the complex is part of that plan. So we started getting into it and making projections, and it's kind of crazy because I don't think it has really hit me in my head yet, like, holy shit, this really happened. This is like I see it every day, and I go ride it every day, and handle the business every day. But I don't think I haven't had a time where I sit down and realize that, well, yes, this is part of that pie. Now this is growing, and it's a lot of work and it's time, but
I think part of that, like that part where it hasn't quite hit you yet, maybe part of that is because you've seen it from day one. You saw it when it was just an idea in your head, or drawing out on a napkin or whatever it might have been, and you saw the day-to-day process of all the tiny little steps that it took to get there, So I think it's one of those things, just like you're riding, you didn't jump on a bike and do a 360 double whip the first day. So that when you finally did do a 360 double whip, it was exciting, but you had built up to that point to get it there. You put in all the sweat equity and all the work ahead of time. So that's really interesting, though. So you're talking about this pie and stuff. Before you built up the business and stuff, following professional athletes' careers, obviously I followed BMX athletes' careers really closely. And it was easy to see that you started making some money. You know what I mean? You won X Games, you won Dew Tour championships, and those prize purses are public. You know what I mean? So you can see, like, okay, you made a lot of money in this year and this year and this year. And that's not even considering sponsors and stuff. So I'm assuming that a lot of that money was more than you had made in the past when you were younger and weren't making the contest type money. So with that, did you have anybody in those early days of starting to make that kind of money that was helping you manage your money, or kind of giving you advice, or saying like, oh, you should save this, or you should invest in this, or you should put some here? Did you have any kind of guidance at all?
Not really. All I knew I wanted to do was save it. And I saw the riders going and buying houses and buying cars and buying this and that, and by that time I lived at Woodward. I did not needed a house. I mean, I looked at it, but it was, anytime I was like, okay, well, I'm maybe going to buy a house, I will ask my dad. I would be like, well, how long are you going to live there? He's like, well, I don't know. So he's like, well, maybe you don't have to buy a house yet. And so, kind of, if I had any advice, might have been from my dad. I also, at one point, I lived with Mira for a few months. And he would tell me, dude, whatever you do, don't be buying stupid cars. Don't go crazy and buy 6 cars. Whatever you do, if you're going to buy a nice car, buy one nice car and keep it for a while. Don't go and just buy one every year, because you're going to lose a lot of money. He's like, I've done it, I know. So that was, I think, a good advice too, because it's seriously, now looking at it, I'm trying to think, when I bought my first car, it was probably 2006, so almost 10 years later, it's like, yeah, man, anytime I sell a car, it's a big hit. So I think with time, thinking, well, you can buy a property, but luckily I bought my first house after the 2008 crash. So Greenville, however, wasn't like Vegas or Florida or California, where houses were $1 million and it took, a 50% hit. it only fluctuated, 5, 10, 15%.
Mm-hmm.
The houses, I think the difference was that loans weren't being given anymore. Loans were actually really hard to get. So if you had cash, I couldn't get a loan.
Right.
So I said, well, I'm going to have to just buy this thing cash. And, well, at the end of the day, I'm keeping this property for who knows how long. I'll probably be able to rent it. I might be able to sell it later on. Whatever happens in Greenville, I don't see Greenville being a bad place to be. The school is there, the medical industry there, it keeps growing, the hospital is getting bigger, so there will always be a need for housing there. And I figure, well, I don't think this will be a bad investment if even if the economy crashes again in the near future. So, I think those were like my big expenses, like my big purchases in the past. And one day I realized that, well, if I ever going to spend, first you always need to look at what you spend. Mm-hmm. And for a while I did. And for a while I was like, oh, I can buy this, I'll buy it. And the next thing would be like, oh, I can buy that, I'll buy it. If you see the money sitting down in your bank account, you see like, oh, I'm invincible, I'll buy whatever I want. Oh, this TV, $5,000, done. Mm-hmm. But now a little older and a little wiser, I understand, yeah, man, it's, to make that $5,000 is actually not as easy as it seems. Yes, I might do it right now, but I don't know in 10 years if I'll be competing and winning events where that is the money. Also, as you can see, contests kind of plummeted in this last few years. There's not that many. The contests that there are, there's less money. Yep. Even if you're the best rider in the world, you can go, and if the judging is not right that day, you can end up getting whatever places. So, once I start looking at that, I start looking at, well, for instance, the cell phone bill. Everybody loves to have the unlimited everything, invincible plan that is just amazing. Mm-hmm. But how much data do you really use? I only use a couple gig of data, and I don't call that much. And these days, every company has unlimited call and text. Mm-hmm. So I went with, I wrote for Verizon for a long time. And when that ended, I started looking at plans, and I went with T-Mobile. They had like unlimited data overseas and text messaging. So I was like, well, that's great. How much is the plan? It's like $50, $60 a month. I only have the couple gig data plan because I don't use that much. And I asked my friends, and they're like, oh, yeah, I have unlimited everything. I could be anywhere and just be on my data plan all day. I was like, dude, do you really need to do that? Do you really need to spend the extra $40 a month in your phone? That's what, $480 a year, dude. That could be your insurance, the car insurance payment right there. That could be something else that you can pay. So once I start looking at all that, that's how buying this new house came about. I was like, dude, I'm spending this much in mortgage. I'm spending this much in, the property taxes. Mm-hmm. People never think of property taxes. Yep. You have that as well. The homeowners association, I don't know, gas and electricity and all that was another $200-$300 because the house is that big. Mm-hmm. So when everything adds up, you're like, dude, I'm spending quite a bit of money here, and I'm not really getting anything back for it. Yeah. So, now if I can rent the house, I will take care for itself. It will give me some extra money to hopefully pay, this other house as well without having to do it from my sponsor money or my prize money. Mm-hmm. So the same, like I see guys trying to buy crazy jewelry. It's like, yeah, if you like jewelry, buy it, but you need to know what to buy as well. The good thing, gold and diamonds, they always go up in price, but it's not going to go up tomorrow. It might go up in 10 years. Yeah. So, if you're going to buy something crazy, maybe you need to keep it for a while before thinking of selling it. But it's all about, the residual of how much you'll be able to sell what you got, and how much are you really willing to spend, and how comfortably you want to live. Yeah,
yeah. It sounds like you have a really good grasp on the balance of things, of taking care of what's necessity first, and then toys afterwards or whatever. And it sounds like you had some really good kind of advice and leadership from guys like your dad and Mira, who, from what I've heard, Dave Mira is a really great example of somebody that did well from his career, and then set himself up for success after his career was over. And hopefully I'll get him on the podcast sooner than later. Did either one of those guys give you other advice that you found super helpful during those times?
Ooh, I'm trying to think. I mean, I guess what I heard from both was like, dude, if you don't need it, don't buy it. And, I think that, again, I might have bought something here or there, but I never really went crazy. I always tried to, the other day I was in the store, I was like, do I want this? Yes. Do I need it? Maybe. Do I really, really need it? No, then I don't need it.
Yeah, got it.
It's like, well, if you don't have a TV at your house, then yeah, go buy a TV. The question is, do you want the 3D TV with the extra Bluetooth, everything? Because it's like, I don't know, maybe, it's like, again, it depends how comfortably and how, I don't know, how comfortably you want to live, I guess.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of people don't really get that idea of kind of delayed gratification. Whereas it sounds like you're saying, okay, I don't really need it, so I don't need it. Whereas other people, they look for the immediate satisfaction of like, okay, I want it, it's going to make me happy right now, but they're not thinking, 5-10 years down the road or whatever.
The other thing I think it played a big role was coming from South America. It's not like here. You turn on the TV and you watch MTV or whatever, and you see Lil Wayne with a chain that's $8 million, and you see all this crazy stuff, and everybody's showing off everything they got. So it seems like the culture here is like, you got the money, spend it, and show off what you got, While there is like, if you're showing off the money, you gotta get kidnapped and maybe murdered. So don't show off the money.
Right.
And it's like, well, here I try to live in a balance. Like, yeah, sometimes I do like to show something, but it's like, again, how big are you trying to go? How crazy do you want to do it? And I try to stay. If I'm gonna go crazy, I try to stay in the low side of crazy. I don't go.
Yeah. So I mean, you've got the diamond necklace and the custom jewelry, and you've got the Rolex and stuff. So you do show it off a little bit, which is awesome. Which I fucking love that about you, actually. And you did mention that gold and diamonds can go up in value. So when you buy, like, you've got your custom handlebar DD necklace. When you buy something like that, do you look at that as like, oh, like this could go up in value, or do you look at that as like, oh, this is a toy that I have the excess money to buy right now?
I look at it as like, if I ever have to sell this, I might not lose the money. It's something that I liked. And I didn't go to the jewelry store and, hi, I want a necklace. I went to the jeweler, so I'm able to get a wholesale price. And again, if I have, the thing is, like, if you lose it, then yeah, there goes the money. But if dude, I'm always holding on to to my necklace and my watch like there's no tomorrow. So, again, it's like Rolexes. They don't really lose value. Let's say you buy a watch for $5 or $10,000. And, they say it doesn't lose value because the next year's watch is going to cost, because if this one costs 10, the next year is going to maybe cost 10,800. Then the year after is going to be 11,600 and so on and so on. So, yeah, in 10 years, you might be able to get the $10,000 for your watch because that same watch now costs 20.
Right.
But if you really want to go crazy, think about the inflation rate in America is about 3% every year. So luckily it's not bad, but that's where your depreciation will come in hand. Nothing will cost the same in 10 years. But yeah, I think 10 years ago or now is still really, really nice.
Yeah, I guess if you wanted to look at it really analytically, somebody, and just playing the devil's advocate here, when I agree with everything you're saying, but you could say, well, over the course of that 10 years, that $10,000 could have been in some other type of investment, stocks or mutual funds that was growing investment. But you're talking about that piece of the pie as well. So you've still got money in your stocks and your business and everything else. So this is just another type of, kind of piece of that pie that your money is sitting in or whatever.
Of course. And again, maybe if you buy a collector's watch or something really, really unique, well, maybe that will come up in value in the future, but just like stocks and mutual funds, there's nothing certain in this life. You hope that you're always making something good. They always said, yeah, buy a house, but everyone bought a house before 2008, and then how many people did lose it? It was a safe investment that went to hell.
Yeah, you're
so
right.
There's no, when they say, yeah, you can invest in mutual funds, it's like, yeah, that's why it's a pie chart. You put a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. If something just goes to hell, you can still live off the other stuff that you got.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so currently my pie, and I never really thought of it like a pie necessarily, but I'll keep going with that analogy since you used it. But so right now I've got 5 rental properties, and then I had a 401k from when I had a full-time job, and then I started up a Roth IRA as well after that. And I started doing some like individual stock investing, and I made a couple of just kind of dumb gambling moves and lost a little bit of money. But so now I'm going to keep the 401k into a regular IRA, and then the Roth IRA will stay in that. So I've got like my mutual fund type investing, and now instead of doing the individual stocks, I'm going to do mutual funds, and hopefully have somebody help me manage that. I've got a mentor kind of helping me understand that world right now. So I've got the real estate, I've got the stocks, and this year I do plan to start up a business actually with a partner of mine. So I've kind of got that pie squared away. So for you, you've got the real estate. You've talked about a couple of rental properties and stuff now, the house that you lived in and that now you're renting out. You got the complex for business. Do you do anything with stocks or mutual funds, or have you turned over money to any kind of like manager that's helping you with that other type of investment?
Yeah, I opened a couple of mutual funds, and I think with mutual funds, I mean, the thing with stocks, I did not want to get in just stocks because it's really hard to, if you're not paying attention, if you don't know much about this company or what's going or where it's going and all this stuff, it's, people always, go buy Apple. Mm-hmm. I feel like if I really read about Apple and I was really into it, then I'll be like, yeah, let's buy Apple. But, the other day, a friend was like, well, I'm not going to buy Apple now because I should have bought 10 years ago.
Right.
It's not really the case. If in 10 years from now it's going to be what it was 10 years ago, you should still buy Apple. Mm-hmm. But I really don't know their plan. I don't look into it close enough to buy a stock of certain company. And, if I was to buy a stock of a company, I would try to go with something not as risky, maybe like General Electrics or, something that your return is only a couple % a year. But it's most likely steady. You see the company, and that's what it is. Yeah. So with mutual funds, I did one that's pretty risky, and you see that thing fluctuate. Mm-hmm. But then I have one that's a little more steady, and it's more conservative. So the good thing that we have in our favor is our age. Mm-hmm. And if you're 20, 30, you'll gamble like there's no tomorrow. Maybe in your 40 and 50, you'll be like, well, maybe I am to not go so crazy. Yeah. So, again, if you're able to spend a little more in this that looks more risky because you might be able to get a bigger return, then, do it. Right now, if you lose that money, I'm sure you'll be able to get it back faster than you would maybe when you're 50 or 60.
Right. So with those mutual funds and stuff, did you work with somebody? Did you research that on your own? How did you figure out what to do?
I did it through Bank of America with Merrill Lynch. Yep. And, at the beginning I started super small, super slow, but again, it's a gamble. I went to a couple of different places, and they all tell you it's going to be great. They all tell you it's going to be amazing, but you never really know. And to my understanding, it's not so much of the company, but the person that's handling your portfolio.
Right. So you had somebody at Merrill Lynch or whatever through Bank of America kind of guide you through it and explain everything to you, so you just worked with them directly? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I did. I went to a different place, a different bank that I had a bank account, and they told me the same exact thing. Yep. So, I was like, well, the good thing if I join with Merrill Lynch is that it's connected through Bank of America, yep. So you know how you always have, like, bank fees and this and that, like all that was being waived because I was using the same package. Yeah. And luckily, the economy hasn't gone insane where you're like, oh, shit, I lost all this money. Mm-hmm. It's been actually pretty steady. It's been going up. And, you see a couple of them going 3% and you see a couple of things going 7%. So, but again, it's like, what do you do? What I like from those is like, if you need your money, you can get it out. Right. It's not, it's like a more advanced savings account. Yeah. Yeah, totally. And, you do have the gamble that it could lose value, but hopefully you won't. Yeah, for sure. So going back to the business end of that pie, so right now you own the Daniel Dhers Action Sports Complex. Did you at one point own a bike shop or a mail order shop or something? No, so my friend had a bike shop in Miami, and he wanted me to join him. So I helped him with what I could to promote and move and do it. But and at the end of the what I liked was because he was giving me ownership of the bike shop of the mail order without me having to really put money into it.
Okay. So
The
hold
hard
on.
part,
I just want to make sure I'm understanding this whole partnership situation. So you were helping promote the shop to get
yeah,
him business, basically in exchange for equity, let's say. Is that
yeah, yeah,
okay?
yeah. So it would be since he couldn't pay me as a rider, he could pay me with ownership of the company.
Okay.
And the hard part was that the company was in Miami. He lived in Venezuela. I was in Greenville at the time,
Mm-hmm.
traveling, competing, and I explained to him many times, like, listen, this is not a business that is gonna grow right away. It will probably take a good 5 to 10 years to go where you are because a mail order company. The hard part is you have dance competition,
Right.
and they're probably taking 80% of all business in United States. It makes it very, very difficult for
Sure.
everyone else. But, it doesn't mean that no one else can make money. It just makes it a little harder. And it might take a little more time. So, a year or so into it, he was like, dude, I thought my return was going to be a lot quicker. And he decided to close it, which I understand, again, if you want to see your return in the next year, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's taking twice as much, then yeah, it's your call to close or not close it. So he ended up shutting it down, and that was that ended there, and now now with the complex it's different because in the complex I did put in money to get this started.
Right.
This is the money that I've been working my whole life for. So it's that's why I wanted to be close to it. That's why I wanted to be in it, and that was make the difference. If there's, in the case of the mail order, I wasn't really asked for much besides like, yeah, just say go buy a 58, and it was like, yeah, great, but there's certain things that you need to do. I cannot do it all.
Right. You can't be the sole marketing product of that company, right?
Yeah, marketing is very important these days. Like with Specialized, I asked them, they got me in the team. I was like, I think this is great. I will bring a part of the business, but you also need, maybe I will get a street rider that rides excellence as well, but it's a different discipline. It's different than what I do. He might be able to relate to certain different crowd that you might be able to attract business in, and I might maybe get someone from Europe if. Europe, I think the industry in Europe is massive, man. I might even think it's bigger than here.
Yeah.
So I think you need someone there that is there to represent.
Right, right. So
like,
just to fill in the listeners real quick of what you're kind of talking about right now. So you rode for a bike company called Specialized, and recently they dropped their program or dropped you from the team or whatever. And basically what you're saying is that, and correct me if I'm getting this wrong, it sounds like you're kind of saying that they were leaving everything on your shoulders to kind of carry that brand, which is hard to do for one rider. And if they're not doing their end of what else they need to do to market towards other, genres or places or markets, whatever, then they can't all just rely on you.
Yeah, I mean, yes, in a way that's what it is. They were doing their part in advertising what I was doing. So yes, what I think on my end we were doing it right, but again, we'll talk about another pie chart. You need a couple of different things to bring awareness of your brand in other places. So it's like, if I was to start a bike company today, it's like, yeah, I could get all park riders and all, whatever types of dudes, but BMX is so broad and so different these days that, you need to make something that makes, you will hit your underground tide riders, and maybe that will have to be a brand in its own, and then you need something that's maybe more mainstream, but, again, you cannot do just one thing. You cannot go and say, I'm going to advertise on TV only. Because great, that will probably get, but not everyone watches TV.
Yeah.
You might need to advertise somewhere else, and that's what it is.
For sure. So with the complex you have now, you did say that you invested your own money into this, but if I remember correctly, we had conversations before where you said you took on a partner in that business at some point, which wasn't necessarily your initial plan, and it just kind of unfolded as things started to develop with the business, right?
Yeah, so when I came here, I looked at the building, and the person that owned the building, I explained him everything that I wanted to do. So he liked the project. I told him, listen, I want to do a family-oriented facility. I want to make a place that kids can learn how to ride all the way to a professional that wants to keep maintain his level and keep competing. And he liked the idea, and he asked me, hey, how much do you know about business? Like, well, I know some. I don't know. I don't think I know 100%, but I think if I'm able to, I had another partner at the time, and I was like, well, she's gonna handle the business side of things. I'll be overlooking everything, but I think with my knowledge and her will, we'll be able to move this forward. Mm-hmm. So, he joined in. He was like, you know what, I would like to be a part of it. What do I have to do? So we talked numbers and talked percentages. And once that was done, we started the business, and it's crazy because there's a lot of things that from when I was a kid, looking at what my dad did, mm-hmm. I can see it happening all over again. It's like, oh shit, I need to do this. Yeah. Oh, now I understand why that was that way. Yeah. And so on and so on. So now, with my partner, I see that he understands business. Mm-hmm. He might not know 100% of what BMX and everything is, but he understands business, and it's very important that from the door from the door to the skate park is a skate park, but from the door back is run as a business. Right. Otherwise, it won't function, man. It will collapse and it will crash because it's not an easy business, and I knew this since day one. Yeah. But I know it's possible.
Since you've taken him on as a partner, and he knows a lot of the business end, obviously I'm sure you've learned a lot from him. Looking back at things now, do you think you would have been as successful or had such a smooth ride up to this point had you not taken him on as a partner?
I think I would have had to give up more of my riding. I think I would have had to stay here, and I would have to focus a lot more energy into the complex because I would have to be more, the decisions that are made. Sometimes he's here when I'm traveling. He's like, hey, we need to do this. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's do it. Done. And it's definitely helped a lot, and I also learned a lot. He's an older person, mm-hmm. and he's been in business his whole life, so he understands. And it's crazy when we talk about what we need to do or this or that. It's like we're both on the same page, but he might be able to explain it a little better. He might be able to get it done a little quicker. He might be able to do things a little faster than maybe I would because, again, it might take me a couple more tries, or it might take me more time because I'm traveling or doing something. And I think it's helped out a lot that he's around.
That's awesome, man. So let's talk about that balance then. That was actually one of the things I wanted to get to. And it's really interesting that you brought that up, saying that you would have had to sacrifice your riding and you wouldn't have been able to focus as much on your riding and stuff. So how do you balance the business and the riding and whatever type of personal life and relationships you might have?
It's tough.
I can imagine.
Yeah. But, when we first opened, I had a general manager, and she was working there all the time. We butt heads a lot, so she left right when I was coming back from one of my last trips not my last trip, but I had nothing in September, and she left in August, right at the end of August, so I was able to be here and work on the complex a lot more and tied up all the loose ends that she left and all the things that it had to be reframed and redone. Mm-hmm. So, luckily I didn't need it that much riding time, but I tried to make a point that at night I will always ride. Mm-hmm. And, at one point it got a little out of hand. I had to start traveling again. I had to go to China for fees, and I had to do a few more events that I do needed to be more on my bike. So I made it to a point that, if I have to work, I will only work until 5. Mm-hmm. If it's really needed, I will do at 6. But after that, I'll stop whatever I'm doing and I'll go ride. Yeah. care what I have to do. If it's have to be left hang, sorry, but I need to also ride. It's part of my career as well.
Right, right.
So
Is it difficult? Like, say you're working. I've always found it a little tough to kind of just hit that switch and go from work mode to riding mode or pleasure mode or play mode, whatever you want to call it. And there's been times when I've been on a trip, filming or shooting photos or whatever, where I'm done shooting for the day and I could jump on my bike, but it's hard for me to kind of like switch gears from work and hustle mode into riding mode. Did you find that hard when you were, punching out at 5 and then trying to get on your bike right away? Like, did you find yourself on top of the roll-in thinking about the business stuff too much and kind of affecting your riding at all like that?
I think there were times that happened. Anytime that's happened, I always thought, well, I either going to keep focusing on this or I'm going to focus on my riding. And luckily, I read a lot of psychology in my early career, so I understood that if I was in a bad mood, I needed to change gears in order to get in the right mindset to compete. Otherwise, maybe then it wasn't as big as what it is now, but you had a fight with your girlfriend before the contest. The fight with the girlfriend never happened in a regular day. It happened the morning of the contest, of course. So, I was prepared for that before getting into a relationship or doing something. And anytime that happened, I was like, okay, I was prepared for this. I can do this, and I'm ready to compete. Well, I'll compete, and I know I'll be fine. Now with this, it was a little different. I had to learn how to redo all these things, and I realized that at one point it was being a little difficult because, yes, it's a lot of stuff that's happening through the day. It's not just the day-to-day operation. There's always something. Mm-hmm. Every day, like I'll finish this, I'll go there, and there's something on the table that it needs to be resolved. And I try to treat everything as an emergency. I don't just, this will resolve by itself. Like, not taking action is taking action. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to wait, I might as well try to do it now.
Yeah.
And for the same reason, then I got a park supervisor, and, he was handling a part of the complex. In the most recent, we got an operations manager for the complex, which I think is helped out a lot because he's there all the time. He's able to see. He's got experience, which more than being there all the time is the experience. Experience is something you get through a lifetime.
Right.
So he's able to see, like I will see things and I'll bring it up like, hey, this needs to be done, but I'm going tomorrow to China, so I'll figure this later. And, a week later, that little thing could be a really big thing today. So now if I see something, I let him know. He goes and, executes it and does whatever he needs to do. Mm-hmm. So I feel like today, yesterday I had like a 3-4 hour session. I haven't had a session like that in a long time. I feel like I saw a problem. What was causing me a problem was that I needed to be more time. I don't have the time. Well, I need a person that's there that's willing to put on the time, and he's accountable for it. If something was wrong and it's falling on me, then it's different if it's falling on someone else. Mm-hmm. I can go at the end of the month and be like, okay, our expenses went down, our expenses went up. Why did it go up? The profit or the sales went up or the sales went down is, his responsibility. Yeah. And all these little things, I feel like when you have a problem, I don't like to have problems. If I have problems, I will try to fix it right on the spot. And like you said, it was hard to disconnect from business and go into riding, but I think now it's a little better. It's better structured now.
Yeah. Very cool. So we're running out of time. I'm going to jump over to our next segment, our last segment here, called Quick Hits. And this is a section where I ask you questions that you can answer them a little quicker. But if you feel like telling a story or, if we talk back and forth about it, that's no problem either. Free flow with it. But these are questions that, for the most part, I'm going to ask pretty much all the guests or my people that I interview here, just to get a wide variety of what people say about the same topics. So my first quick hit for you is, what are one or two things that you do to simplify your life or eliminate stress or clutter from your life?
Right. And I took this from Buddhism, and it says, I know in Spanish. Let me think about it in English how it goes.
Say it in Spanish first.
I got it in English. The richest person is not who has the most, but who needs the less.
Okay.
So I try to live simple. I mean, again, if I like nice things, but I try to be simple, and the simpler you are, the less things you have to worry about, man.
Yeah, got it. Do you have a favorite quote, or do you have a favorite piece of advice that someone has given you over the years? And maybe you just said your quote. Maybe that was it.
I think that was one, but in 2004 I wanted to quit, and this guy Jay from England, he was like, he said, at the end it's always worth it.
Okay.
And at the time I did not really think much, but I think at the end it's always worth it. Whatever you do, right or wrong, at the end if it goes right, perfect. If it goes wrong, it's still worth it. You gain the experience, you gain the knowledge.
Yeah.
It's pretty broad, but it's true. At the end, it's always worth it. You will gain something from it.
Yeah. Wait, real quick, I got to ask. You said in 2004 you wanted to quit riding. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's a good thing you didn't, because here we are 11 years later and you're still killing it.
Yeah, man. I wanted to quit a few times in my life. It was, sometimes it got really rough. I had a couple bad accidents and a couple of things happened, and I wanted to stop. But again, I'm glad I did, and again, at the end, it's always worth it.
Yeah, well, hopefully if I have you back on here, we can dig into that a little bit more. But we're running out of time, so we need to keep moving along. Right. Can you give me an example of when you've modeled yourself after someone else's success? Like maybe you've seen somebody that you consider to be successful, and you've tried to replicate some of their habits or traits.
Ooh. I knew that if I wanted to compete at a high level, I was going to need more than just learn how to ride. I was going to need to learn how to have my mind right. I feel like I had something naturally, but I read a lot of psychology that helped me model my mind to compete. And I will find the weaknesses and I will find the strengths, and I will work on those.
Yeah.
And, I feel like I model myself after Mira a lot in riding. But I also saw a lot of bad things in his competing ways that I was like, yeah, this could auto-destroy me. So I had to maybe take a little bit from Bestwick as well, and how he does to compete. And I did all that. And, well, today I do, in the business world, I do it through looking at, you look at Leon and you look at Bill Gates and you look, at Jobs, and you see, like, what they did right and what they done wrong. And, I don't know if I'll be up there one day, but it's they have good ways of living and good ways of doing things. So I feel like as long as you don't, I don't create in karma or much, or if this or if the devil or the saints and this and that. It's like, I think if you do right things will come. If you do wrong, you can do wrong for a long time, but eventually you're gonna create something bad today that will catch you later on.
Yeah. So that actually brings me to one of my other quick hits, which I think with you, this question could end up being an entire hour-long episode by itself. So we'll try to get the nutshell version. But can you put into a short little tidy package for me how you mentally prepare for a competition? And again, I know this could be a whole thing in itself, which I would love to talk to you more about it eventually. But just for time's sake.
I think practice is number one. Be on your bike as much as you can. Take care of your body. It's everyone likes to eat something bad, but don't do it all the time.
Yeah.
Just moderation. Working out is a part of it too. But the tricks and the body, I think it's only 20%. The mind is where it takes the other 80%.
Yeah.
If you grab a bike today, you will learn all the tricks I know. It's not that hard. The competing mindset is the hard part.
Yeah.
And that takes time. It takes experience. I try to listen to music. I try to understand what's going on through my mind, and I talk to myself what I need to do, what I need to do. If I go to a contest and it's like, well, this contest I'm 100%, I want to risk it all, then I prepare that way for that. If I know this contest, I might want to just be 80% because there's something else coming next week. I try to, be a little more relaxed, but it's a hard question to summarize.
Yeah, I know. So we'll stop right there. But I want to tell this story real quick. So I've seen you, for I don't know how many years now, up on the decks of X Games and Dew Tour and all these big competitions and stuff. And as a photographer, I keep my eye on riders. I kind of, I watch like Scotty as he practices, and I know, okay, he flips that obstacle during practice. If he flip whips it, I know he's probably going to flip double whip it in the contest. I kind of keep my eye on what's going on so that I know what to shoot photos of. And with you, I've always noticed that, and I guess we've never talked about this, but this is just my observation of you, is that you will go to practice and basically run through your planned run. So you plan out your run, and then you'll run through like the first 5 tricks, and you'll do that like a handful of times, and then you'll do the next 5 tricks a handful of times. So you kind of break your run into sections, and then I've seen you sit on top of the ramp, and I can tell you're going through the whole run in your mind, and you're kind of like doing half circles with your arms while you're standing on the deck, and kind of you can tell that you're playing the tricks out in your mind as if you're doing your whole run. And man, I've told that to younger competitors and stuff as I've been on deck with guys that are super nervous and stuff, and I'll tell them, dude, like, look at you, or I'll explain how you do it, and like, dude, you got to dial in your tricks, you got to dial in the course, you got to plan out the run. So I think that's super interesting. And again, this is part of the reason I want to do this podcast, was just to have these kind of cool conversations, and you talk to people like yourself that are at such an elite level, both in athletics and business and stuff. A couple more quick hits for you before we wrap it up here. We're just about out of time. Can you tell me about a time in your life when you've been just completely mentally and physically exhausted, just at your breaking point, either mentally or physically?
I think that when I was a kid, I went to Latinx and I was prepared. I was ready to compete. And the day before the contest, I had a crash at some random concrete park, so I didn't get to show to the pros that were coming out, listen, I'm getting good too. I want to be there one day.
Uh-huh.
And I broke my back. I broke ribs and fingers, teeth. Like, I was in the hospital, and I had to watch the contest off a chair, and I was so bummed because I knew I was able to do. I would have been able to do good.
Right.
And I remember telling my mom, like, I'm done with this. I don't want to ride anymore. This is not worth it. And while I was in the hotel, Mark Lowes and Lee Ramsdale, they came in. It's like, hey, man, here's the magazine. Here's some stickers. Just keep riding, man. We'll see you next time. And they left, and I was like, holy shit, they noticed me. It was like, I cannot believe this. And, dude, a month later, I was able to get on my bike, and I just started riding as hard as I could. And I think, I always tell us, like, hey, man, this is here because of you guys. I really don't think I would have gone that far if it wasn't for that specific moment.
Yeah, wow.
Something as simple as a sticker or a magazine, but it was what set everything in motion, I think.
Wow, that's amazing. So we're going to wrap this up with one final question, a little bit changing gears here. Which BMX pro is the most fun to talk shit with or about? I know for our listeners out there, we've talked a lot of kind of professional business stuff here, but if anybody doesn't know Daniel on a personal level, he is a really funny guy, super not serious at times, and loves to have a good shit-talking session. So
yeah, man.
Who do you talk shit with?
Spinner is up. Spinner and Webby. Holy shit. Dude, we will have insane conversations. Mira could chip in a little bit, not so much. Lair could be a good one with. But yeah, every time I haven't seen Spinner in a while. He stopped competing and riding, and but every time we have a chance, dude, it's insane, man.
Yeah, dude.
We need to have toilet paper nearby for all this shit that comes out.
I'll finish this off by giving my story of you and Spinner. I guess 2 years ago at the Recon Tour in Greenville at the Animal House, that was probably the first time I had hung out with you and Spinner kind of together. Like, obviously we had been in the same competitions together, but just hearing you two on deck talk shit back and forth and kind of reminisce about different times you were competing against each other. Dude, I was sitting back and, both of you guys I consider to be my friends, but as a BMX fan, I was kind of sitting back and listening to you guys. I was like, dude, this should be a fucking TV show. Like, you guys are really entertaining. Like, people that are fans of BMX need to see this side of the sport. You know what I mean? Two of the most decorated top BMX athletes in the world just sitting here, not only like reminiscing about run after run of competitions that you guys competed in 6 years ago, but also just bantering back and forth and talking shit and stuff. It was really, really cool, and just
I think we'll make a lot of enemies if all this stuff came public. But yeah, I mean, it's not it's not like in a bad, like, oh yeah, I hate that guy. It's just always like, you know, if I land flat, you can say it all day. I don't care, you know.
Yeah.
There's some guys that might be a little more, you know. Their skin is not as thick.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Well,
So
dude, thank
that's
you
why we
so much
always
for
kept
taking
it
the time
to,
to. Wait, what's that?
that's why we always just kept it among us, you know.
Oh yeah,
Never
yeah.
really got
Just
too crazy.
kept it private shit talking sessions. Yeah, got it. So dude, thank you so much for taking the time today. That's all the time we have. If people want to find out more about your business or about you, where can they go online to check out your stuff?
They can go to at DDASC. That's for the complex. Me is at Daniel Dhers. You can go on the website for the complex, which is ddasc.com. And yeah, man, I'm constantly posting stuff, and you're probably gonna see a lot of airplane pictures in the near future. I
Awesome.
apologize, but yeah, man, I like this show. I don't post as much riding as I maybe should, but it's because I want to show people all the other stuff that goes on in our lives. You know, it's
Yeah.
not everything's about riding. There's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Well, of course, you guys can check out the show online at theexpansionprojectpodcast.com. You can check out my work at fattonybmx.com, and all my social networks are just at fattonybmx. Drop me a line and go on there to see the next chime-in question. Once again, Daniel, thank you so much for joining me today. This is 100% why I started this podcast. These conversations are exactly what I had in mind, and this was incredible. So thank you for taking the time, and I'll see you next time, buddy.
Thank you, man. I'll see you next time.